Good day everyone. I am Miss Rowena and today I'm going to discuss about the topics luck culture and sericulture. Humans have been enjoying animals for their varied uses. Not only domestic animals but wild animals are useful to us in many ways. Animals of all sizes and types are useful to humans in many ways. And the list of products that we get from live as well as dead animals is probably never ending. And in my presentation, I'm going to talk about two of the most amazing and awesome creatures on earth. I have not known much about them until I have been given an opportunity to research and present about these topics. One such fascinating and tiny insect is the luck insect. And another one is the silkworm that both gave us products used in different ways. And the main target for this topic is its culture and why it is useful to us. Okay, let's start with luck culture. Very interesting. What is luck? So the word luck is derived from the Hindi word lakh, which means 100,000, indicating the large number of insects required to produce recognizable quality of lac. A natural resinous secreted by the insects called lac insect with its scientific name Tacardia lacca, or previously known as the Lacifer lacca. So it is a minute resinous crawling scale insect which inserts its proboscis into plant tissues and sucks juice, grows, and secretes lac from the hind end of the body as a protective covering for its body. So, the lac insect lives on native trees in India, Myanmar, and Malaysia. And in India, it is chiefly grown on trees like kusum, palas, and bur. So lac insects are also cultivated and lac is collected from its host plants. And about 17,000 to 90,000 insects are required to produce 1 pound of lac. Wow, too much of them are, sacrificed. So lac insects actually yields or produce resin, lac dye, and lac wax. So let's talk a bit of the history of lac. So very little is known from literature about the time when man first started culturing lac insects. So Indians have been using lac for ages, and India is still being regarded as the principal lac producing country of the world. Thailand is actually the next in order, and since Vedic period, it has been used in India. So it would appear that Vedic people knew that the lac is obtained from numerous insects and must also know the biological and commercial aspects of the lac industry. And if you have known the great Indian epic Mahabharata, it also mentions a lakshagriha, an inflammable house of lac cunningly constructed by Kauravas through their architect Purocha for the purpose of burning their great enemy Pandavas alive. And the evidence also suggests that the use of lac by ancient Romans and then Greek people. And its cultivation has a long history in Asia, with some suggestion that it is as old as 4,000 years in China, where its cultivation accompanied the development of the silk industry, which I will talk about later on. And the scientific study of lac was started by Father Taccard in 1709. And its scientific name was finalized after many changes. Okay, let's talk about the systematic position of the lac insect. So the first scientific account of the lac insect was given by J. Kerr in 1782, which was published in Philosophical Transaction of Royal Society of London. And the first scientific name given to it was Tacardia lacca, following the name of French missionary Father Tacardia, which I guess I mentioned earlier. It was later changed to Lacifer lacca. Okay, the other name given to it has been Keria lacca. So the lac insect is classified as follows. So of course, obviously, its kingdom is Animalia, and phylum Arthropoda. Class is obviously Insecta, and then order Hemiptera, family Caridae, genus Lacifer, and then the species is Laca. So its binomial name or its scientific name is Lacifer laca. Okay, let's talk about the the highlight of this topic. So what is lac culture? So lac culture is the scientific management and rearing of lac insects for high quality lac to be used for commercial purposes. So it is simply, the commercial cultivation of lac insects. And there's the functions of lac culture. So it involves the cultivation of host plants of lac insects, pest management of host plants, rearing of the lac insects, pest management of lac insects, harvesting the lac, production of commercially usable lac. Okay, after talking about the functions, so let's talk about the host plants of the lac insects. So lac insects actually thrive on twigs of certain plant species, and they suck the plant sap and grow all the while secreting the lac resin from their bodies. So these plants are what we called the host plants. And although lac insect is natural pest on host plant, so they are considered ectoparasite actually. So these insects actually enjoy the privileged position not being treated as pests. So why? So because they yield a useful product, the host plants are economically not so important, and the other one, the insects cause only temporary and recoverable damage to the host plants. So the lac culturists must know that the host plants and which plants suit the geographic conditions of the place. And the lac management also includes the rearing of the healthy host plants in a stage that is suitable for the lac insects to suck the sap. And there are actually about 100 or more than 100 varieties of host plants. Okay, and the examples are Pallas, Kusum, and then Bear. So you'll see that on screen on the right. So you will see the trees, and here in the first column from the table, so its vernacular name and its scientific name. So it also includes Babol, Kair, and then Arhar. And of these host plants, actually, the first three, Pallas, Kusum, Bear, they are actually of major importance, while others are of regional and minor importance. So it is also important to mention that the quality of the lac is directly related to the host plant and to the strain of the lac insects. Okay, and there's an important lac host plant we called Flemingia semialata, which has been identified and field tested as a potential fast-growing host for intensive lac cultivation during winter season lac crop of Kusmi strain for increasing lac production to match with the growing global demand of the lac. And what are the essential characteristics of a lac host? So actually, the factor that determines whether the lac insect will flourish on a particular host species or not is the character of the sap of host plant. So it is believed that the sap reactions of a good lac host should be near about the neutral or slightly acidic, and that the sap density of good lac host plants is lower than that of the non-lac host. So the sap reactions of non-lac hosts shows distinct acidity or alkalinity. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the life cycle of the lac insect. So a lac culturist must have knowledge of the life cycle of the lac insects and must be able to identify the stage at which lac is produced maximum and to be harvested. So the life cycle of the lac insect has 4 stages, which includes eggs, larva, pupa, and the adult. And the phases of the life cycle of the lac insect are as follows. First, of course, we have fertilization. The second one, we have egg laying. The third one is egg hatching. So as you can see here on the left is the picture of the lac insect and its life cycle. The phases that the life cycle of the lac insect undergoes. And here on the very left, you can see here the swarming of the lac insect nymphs here, as you can see. So it's like the mass movement of the larvae in search of a suitable place to suck plant sap. We called it swarming. And another phase, okay, fourth is pupa, and then the other one is, of course, the adult one. Okay, next, let's talk about the types of lac. Okay, depending on the host plant, lac is actually of two types. First, we have kusumi lac, wherein insects are reared on the kusum plants or in the kusum tree, and lac is of course harvested from these plants. The second one is Ranjini lac, when the lac insects are reared on a non-kusum plants, and the lac is known as Ranjini lac. Wow, quite interesting name. Next, what about the lac and its forms? Actually, there's quite a lot of its forms, and several forms of which includes the stick lac, the seed lac, shell lac, and then button lac. Okay, so look at the shape and its colors on the right. Okay, as the name suggests, it looks like button, and then stick here, and here it's like seeds. So the stick lac after grinding and washing is called seed lac or chowri. Wow. And then this one, shell lac, is the manufactured product prepared from stick lac after washing and melting, which takes the form of a yellow colored flakes, like flakes. We call shell lac. Okay. Then next, another form is what we call garnet lac. Wow, nice name. So it is prepared from inferior seed lac or kiri by the solvent extraction process. And as you can see, it's dark in color and comparatively free from wax. And the other one here, we have bleach lac. Okay, a product obtained by chemical treatment. The reason why it is so-called bleach. Okay, and then in the next slide, you will see a machine. Okay, a machine for washing the stick lac. It's quite old. And then on the right, you will see a man drying the washed seed lac under the sun. Wow, it must be quite a lot of work. Okay, let's talk about the secretion and composition of lac. So, they said that lac is a gift of nature to mankind and is the only known commercial resin of animal origin. So, special glands called lac glands are present in the skin of the larvae and the adults. So, actually, it's a mixture of several substances, but resin, as you can see, is the main constituent. It is from 68 to 90%. And dye 2 to 10%, wax with 5 to 6%, mineral matter of 3 to 7%, albuminous matter of 5 to 10%, and lastly, water of 2 to 3%. It also contains sugar, protein, soluble salts, debris of lac insect, and some woody material. Okay. Next, let's talk about lac cultivation. So, culturing of lac begins with the farmer, of course, with the farmer inoculating a plant with a female cell where eggs are ready to hatch. So I guess it's more or less similar to what I discussed earlier from the phases of the life cycle of the lac insect. As soon as the eggs hatch and the first instar larvae emerge, they infest the host plant by a process we call swarming. Okay, and then after finding the spots for feeding, the larvae start secreting the resinous material around their body. And this material appears shiny in the beginning and hardens when it comes in contact with the air. Okay, so the lac casing is thus around the body of the larva and the twig on which it is feeding. Interesting, right? And many lac cells of nearby larvae fuse together and a lac incrustation is formed. So this is the lac that a lac culture is actually interested in. So on the right, you will see a photograph of lac encrusted twig. It's incredible to see this kind of lac incrustation, and I felt like I'm seeing chicken feet here. Okay, next, what about the steps of lac cultivation? Okay, so first we have inoculation, and which means the introduction of lac insects to the host plant, which can be natural or artificial. And then the second one is cultivation of host plants. And then the third one is the lac crop, okay, wherein the life cycle of the lac insects of 6 months, and hence 2 crops in a year are regular. And there can be 4 lac crops as lac insects behave differently if it's kusum or non-kusum host plants. Okay, and then another step would be harvesting and the extraction of the lac. Okay, and this harvesting and extraction of lac has its own steps, as you can see here. Okay, and on the right you will see here the different steps, and then and how the lac is actually being formed. Okay, let's talk about the numerous uses of lac. Okay, so lac finds a wide variety of application in paint, electrical, automobile, cosmetic, adhesive, leather, wood finishing, and other industries. And they usually use as a first coating on wood to fill the pores and apply to seal nuts likely to exude resin. And disfigure or spoil finish paintwork is also used in manufacture of glazed paper, printing, waterproofing inks, and used as a coat for metal ware to prevent tarnishing, and for finishing various products such as playing cards, oilcloth, linoleum, and for preserving archaeological and zoological specimen. There are actually, a lot of uses of this lac. Okay, they are even used in electrical, pharmaceutical industry, manufacturing shoe policies, and even in filling ornaments, making bangles, for decorative purposes. And never thought about this, that lac is being used here actually. And even in nail polish, wow, in varnish or dyeing colors are also obtained from lac. Indeed, lac is beneficial to us in a lot of ways, and probably we never thought about, right? So how about the importance of lac culture to biodiversity? Okay, so lac has the unique properties of being eco-friendly, biodegradable, and self-sustainable. Moreover, it is natural material, and thus currently it has assumed special importance. And since lac insects are cultured on host trees, which are growing primarily in wasteland areas, promotion of lac and its culture can help in the ecosystem development with reasonably high economic returns. It also acts as a source of livelihood for tribal, and poor subforest areas. And recent research actually has shown that lac culture has a number of, beneficial effects on the conservation of biodiversity itself, which is actually an aspect of great concern, as the loss of biodiversity has put a question mark to the ultimate survival of human race on this planet. And it says here as well, promotion of cultivation on natural and man-made forests will not only help on ecosystem development but also act as attractive alternative for economic returns of forest dwellers and conserved associated fauna and flora for posterity. So, we can say that the revival and improvements of lac culture is actually proposed to achieve this goal. So, I guess the importance of lac culture to biodiversity is quite a lot. Okay, so we really need to take care as well of these lac insects because they can actually arrest forest destruction, permit gainful utilization of vast natural health, and for the conservation of black host plants, black host jungle with active involvement of forest dwellers, tribals would actually save our natural environment and bring out eco-friendly relation between plants and of course to animals. Okay, here are my references for the topic lac culture. I hope you have learned, at least something from the topic I have presented. Okay, next thing that I'll present is about lac culture. Let's talk about sericulture. So while I am doing my researches about my topics, I am so amazed about how silk are, produced, and it's very interesting. Okay, so without further ado, let's start. So, what is sericulture? Okay, so sericulture is actually called silk production, and the word itself is derived from the Greek word serikos, meaning silk, and the English culture, meaning rearing. So the science behind silk production comes under applied zoology called sericulture, and it involves the cultivation of mulberry to produce leaf, rearing of silkworm to convert leaf to cocoon, reeling of the cocoon to obtain silk yarn, and weaving to convert yarn to fabrics. And sericulture is an agro-based industry, meaning it involves activity in cultivation under controlled conditions of agricultural and horticultural crops. Okay, let's talk about a brief history of sericulture. So, sericulture from the moth Bombyx mori. So it has a long and colorful history unknown to most people. Although there are several, commercial species of silkworms, so there's Bombyx mori, which is the most widely used and intensively studied. So, just as young Isaac Newton, I guess you knew him, so stumbled upon the law of gravity while sitting beneath an apple tree and getting bonked on the head with the fruit. So, there's the young empress, okay, who is known as Si Lingxi. So she was sitting under a mulberry tree, and then she made a discovery that also changed the world the way Isaac Newton did. And according to the Chinese records, the discovery of silk production from bee mori occurred about 2700 BC. And the most common tale on the origins of the silkworms begins when Si Lingxi, Chinese empress, was simply walking through her garden when a cocoon, which is of a silkworm, dropped into her tea. Interesting. And upon picking it up, she found the cocoon began to unravel, forming a beautiful string of what is now known as silk. And then, After looking for the origin of this cocoon, the emperor studied the mulberry tree above her and couldn't help but notice all of the small caterpillars or the silkworms crawling around, and she came to the conclusion that the cocoon had come from the small caterpillars. And we can say it's not bad for a lazy afternoon in the garden with the discovery she made. And for 2,500 years, the royal family of China had kept the secret of silk to themselves. Wow. And then the material was sold to the rulers of the West, but the source of the shiny thread that made the material was not revealed. And then some very strange ideas were formulated as the origin of the silk, such as the idea that silk came from the colored petals of flowers in a Chinese desert, or silk was made of wondrously soft soil, or silk came from a spider-like animal that ate until it burst open and that silk threads were found inside its body, and silk came from the silky fuzz of special leaves. And these ideas actually seem far-fetched today, but in ancient times, they were actually, theories which are very serious. So how did silk come to be found by the rest of the world? Yeah, right. How did we know about this sericulture, this story about the silk? So there were actually two poor monks who told Emperor Justinian of Constantinople that they had learned the secret of silk after arriving back in Constantinople after traveling to China. So Justinian sent them back to China to get some eggs and mulberry shoots for him so that he too could raise silkworms and create beautiful products made of silk. And then the monks returned many years later with the eggs and shoots hidden inside their hollowed out walking sticks. And since Justinian was the emperor of Constantinople, a crossroads city, the secret, soon spread throughout Europe. And this trek the monks took has now come to be known as the Silk Road. And this road was a major breaking point in what in now modern day trade. I guess if you have teaching or if you have thought about social studies, I think Silk Road probably would be one of your topic, and it's quite interesting. And then sericulture has become one of the most important cottage industries in a number of countries like China, of course, India, Japan, Korea, Brazil, Russia, Italy, and even France. But today, China and India are actually the two main producers, together manufacturing more than 90% of the world production each year. Okay, so what is silk? Okay, let's talk a little bit about what is silk. Okay, so it's actually a natural fiber and was amongst the earliest fibers discovered by man, with others being wool, hemp, linen, and then cotton. So it's a fibroin made of proteins secreted in a fluid state, a single filament by a caterpillar popularly known as a silkworm. And these silkworms feed on the selected food plants and spin cocoons as a protective shell to perpetuate the life. And it also has 4 stages in its life cycles, which includes, egg, larva, pupa, and then moth. And then as I was also, researching and studying about the topic itself, I come across with a very nice quote, and I want to share this with you. If fashion is a fine art, then silk is its biggest canvas. And if silk is the canvas, then all of its weavers, dyers, designers, embroiderers are the greatest artists. So, did you know that a yard of silk fabric costs around $100? Expensive, isn't it? So since ancient times, silk is actually a valued commodity, and silk has several natural properties that makes it distinct from all the other fibers, both natural and man-made. And it has a natural sheen, an inherent affinity to rich colors, high absorbance, lightweight, yet stronger than a comparable filament of steel, poor heat conduction that makes it warm in the winter and cool in the summer, low static current generation, resilience, and an excellent drape. Wow. I love silk. Okay, what are the types of silkworm? So first we have the most common mulberry silkworm. So from the Bombyx mori. So it's a domesticated silkworm which feeds on mulberry leaves belonging to the Morichiae family. So the worms produce long, continuous silk filament which is white or light yellow in color. And the silk has good commercial value. And try to take note of its color and size, okay? And you'll see how is it different from the other types of silkworm. Like for example, this tassar silkworm. So as you can see, the cocoons are bigger in size and weigh about 7 to 14 grams with the peduncle and reel to get 1,000 to 1,200 meters of fiber. And another type of silkworm is, there are also 3 types of tassar silkworm. Okay, so which includes Antheria mylitta, Antheria royle, and Antheria yamai, which feeds on different plants. Next, we have the airy silkworm. Wow, amazing, yeah? Look at how different it was from the previous type of silkworm. So it produces white or brick red silk, and the cocoons are very weak and pediculate and found in different places like Assam, Bihar, West Bengal, Manipur, Odisha, and Tripura. Okay, and then another type of silkworm is the Muga silkworm. Okay, and it feeds on som and swallow leaves to produce golden yellow silk thread, which is very strong and attractive. Okay, and then in this table, okay, you will see as well the other types of silkworm, which includes anape, fagara, cone, mussel, spider silkworm. There's actually a lot of types, but the previous types that I have discussed were actually the most common. Okay, let's proceed to the process or the methods of sericulture. So the production of silk or the process of sericulture actually take place in 3 following steps. First, we have the so-called moriculture, the rearing of silkworm, and then the third one is the reeling of silkworm or silk reeling. And after all these 3 processes, the silk filaments are woven together to form fine threads. Okay, first let's talk about the moriculture. So this is the cultivation of mulberry plants whose leaves are used as food for silkworms, and they can be grown by 3 different methods, either by seed cultivation, root grafting, or stem grafting. So on the right, you can see here silkworms which are feeding on the mulberry leaves. And actually, it is interesting to note that a kilogram of mulberry leaves can feed around approximately 50 silkworms. Wow, 50 silkworms only from the egg stage to the cocoon stage. Okay. Next step is the rearing of the silkworms. Wow. So selected healthy silk moths are allowed to mate for 4 hours. And the female moth is then kept in a dark plastic bed and then lay about 400 eggs in 24 hours in a day. The female is taken out and crushed and examined for any disease, and only the certified disease-free eggs are reared for industrial purpose. And the eggs are hatched in an incubator. And the hatched larvae are kept in trays inside a rearing house, as you can see here. Look at the leaves, okay, and how silkworms are being fed. And the hatched larvae are kept in trays inside a rearing house at a temperature of about 20 to 25 degrees Celsius, and these are first fed on the chopped mulberry leaves. In about 4 to 5 days, fresh leaves are provided. And as the larvae grow, they are transferred to fresh leaves, as you can see here, on clean trays when fully grown. When fully grown, they spin cocoons. And here below, you will see a rearing of silkworms in ancient China. Okay. Next, after rearing the silkworm, the next process followed is the reeling of silk. So the cocoons are collected and boiled or kept under the hot sun or exposed to steam to separate the silk fibers. That is how it goes. So the process is what we called as stifling. And the process of separating silk threads from the cocoon of the silkworm is what we called as reeling. And the harvesting of silk from these cocoons is the final stage of the sericulture, the third step. And the filament of threads are removed by using different machines to form reels, and this spinning of silk fibers produces silk yarn or silk thread. And by weaving the yarn, the silk fabric is produced. And then the silk clothes can be made finally by using the silk fabric. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the impacts of sericulture on economy, our environment, and the society. First, it says here, it has high employment potential. So, although silk has a small part in the global textile market, it still generates vast, employment, massive employment. Sericulture and silk production involves a series of intricate processes. Well, as you have seen from the previous slides that I shared, it does require a lot of workforces, and in India alone, actually, it provides millions of jobs, 7.9 million jobs, and hence it is used as a tool for rural economic reconstruction. Second, it fuels rural economies, and then it's women friendly industry. So until today, as you can see from the photos that I've been showing, mostly those who reared are actually those who are involved, those who are cultivating are mostly women. So until today, they play a huge role in the sericulture industry. So women workers perform different sericulture processes, from the mulberry garden management, leaf collection, silkworm rearing, cocoon collection, to filament reeling and weaving. So they are also low maintenance with high returns, and we can even eat silkworm as food. We can also farm silkworm at home for pet feeding, and according to a home management specialist, sericulture can be taken on at home because the silkworms are small, as you can see. But I think I would probably be a little afraid of these worms. I'm not sure whether I could keep them as pets. And they are also low maintenance. So buying rearing packs from a reliable local supplier is a good way to start if you want. Silkworms are easy to handle because they don't have sharp appendages and are slow moving. They also have biomedical properties, and it's an eco-friendly activity. However, sericulture also has its drawbacks. Okay, sericulture must be done in closed premises. Workers must work in poorly ventilated premises, and which creates respiratory problems for the workers. And dead silkworms are handled by the workers with their bare hands, as you can see, which leads to various diseases and infections. Not sure whether I could be one of them because I'm afraid of these worms. And you know what, the boiling of silkworm cocoons in the sericulture process has come under severe criticism actually from several individuals and organizations. And if you have known Mahatma Gandhi, so he actually actively promoted the use of ahimsa silk or the peace silk, which is a method of producing silk which do not involve the boiling of silkworm pupa and therefore did not violate the ahimsa philosophy. I guess from the previous slides, I have mentioned about the boiling of the silkworm, right? And then that would probably be a little violent, and for sure it will receive a lot of several criticism to different individuals and of course organizations. And employees need to work longer for up to 16 hours every day. Wow, which definitely will lead to severe back and leg pain. And people who are not knowledgeable enough will find it difficult to deal with, of course, the silkworms. Okay. So what about the so-called Siri biodiversity? So an important approach for improving quality of life. So genetic diversity is a particular concern because greater genetic uniformity in silkworm can increase vulnerability to pests and diseases. Hence, maintenance of genetic diversity is a fundamental component in long-term management strategies for genetic improvement of silkworm, which is cultivated by millions of people around the globe for its luster silk. So, the main aim of Siri biodiversity conservation is just to protect the available different ecotypes from the extinction and use this in future breeding programs for improvement in commercial characters of the silkworm. So indeed, by learning about the topics sericulture and la culture, we knew that there are amazing, incredible creatures here on earth that probably we don't know about, and we should actually take care of them. And I hope that you have learned something from the discussion that I had for today. So these are our references for sericulture. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking time to listen, and keep safe, everyone, and be healthy. God bless.